guys, it's Chelsea from The Financial Diet, and today we're going to be talking about self-improvement, but more specifically, self-improvement in a way that doesn't make you feel insane or really bad about yourself. Over the past 2 months, the whole TFD team has been taking on different personal challenges to either better ourselves or change some habit that we didn't like. Lauren, for example, was doing a sketch every day in her sketchbook, Holly was doing sort of like a radical decluttering and reorganizing in her apartment, and I was attempting to walk 500,000 steps in 30 days, although I ended up a little bit over 400,000 in the end. Now, I'm the one who actually suggested that the team do these challenges, not just because it makes for really interesting things to write about, but also because I'm someone who really firmly believes in setting personal challenges and goals to change ourselves in a positive way. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I'm almost totally unrecognizable from the person I was about 6 years ago. And even, for example, when friends come and visit me who haven't seen me since college, they are utterly shocked at who I am today. 6 years ago, I was someone who was extremely messy, extremely lazy, extremely unreliable, and more importantly, totally disinterested in my future. I got fired from jobs all the time, I had cars literally burned down in front of my boyfriend's apartment, and I was constantly bouncing from new place to new thing to new person. Long story short, I was someone who would never have been capable of really building something for her future, not a steady career, let alone her own small business. And today I'm someone who is overall pretty reliable, pretty hardworking, and generally always planning for the future. Now, all of that said, generally speaking, the personality type you have is not going to fundamentally change. You just have to learn to work better with what you have and who you are. Every personality type is a double-edged sword. For example, I'm someone who is just totally not type A and can be really forgetful about details. But that also tends to mean that I'm more creative, able to think on my toes, and generally have a pretty big picture vision of things. The key to improving yourself is not totally abandoning your personality. It's recognizing what's good about it and embracing that while minimizing the rest. For example, to compensate for the fact that I'm really bad at remembering details, I'm now a sort of obsessive user of calendar apps. But one big thing I've learned in making all these changes in my life is that you have to do them in a positive and affirming way. Running a small business means constantly coming up against challenges that no one prepares you for, and I would never have been able to make it happen unless I knew how to make these changes in a way that left me feeling good at the end of the day and not constantly beating myself up. And I know that in part because I had attempted to make changes in a negative way before and totally failed. For example, when I initially realized almost 3 years ago that I wanted to lose about 20 pounds, I approached it in a way that was just motivated by real self-hatred and not at all motivated by what are the positive results I'm seeking. I wanted something that would change me really quickly, so I started this vegan till 6 diet, which not only was really hard to sustain because it was such a radical departure from my typical eating habits, it also didn't actually involve me counting calories, so it actually resulted in a little bit of weight gain. When I went from focusing on how do I make a radical change to get immediate results and started focusing on what do I love most about my day-to-day habits and how do I get the most out of that while still having the control over my body that I wanted, I realized that the answer was not some radical change, it was what I do now for 2.5 years, which is intermittent fasting, which allows me to have the meals that I enjoy while cutting out all the things that I just don't need. The point is, if the conversation started with me saying, I hate how I feel, I hate how I look, I hate this, how do I change it, it's never going to go well. But if you approach the conversation from what do I love and how do I get more of it, it's a positively reinforcing cycle. I'm not saying intermittent fasting will work for you, but I am saying it was a perfect example in my life of when I approached a change in the wrong way and totally fell on my face. On the flip side, when I've approached a change in a way that was positive, I saw great results immediately. For example, when I knew I needed to start getting up earlier for our morning meetings, I didn't look at it as, oh, I hate that I'm not a morning person, I feel so sluggish, I feel so this. I looked at it as, I love how I feel when I have more time in the morning to prepare for this meeting, so how do I get there? We think that berating ourselves or feeling guilty about what we do is a good motivator, but all it does is set us up to slide back into our bad habits the second we mess up. The more we think of it in terms of positive reinforcement, the more we'll want it, and the easier it will be to stay motivated when we inevitably slip up. Another thing you always have to remember is that quality of life comes first. Whenever we want to make a change, it's really important that we ask ourselves, why do I want to make this change? Because if we're doing it for superficial or external reasons, like I want to look a certain way, or be perceived a certain way, or even have a certain thing, we're almost guaranteed to fail. Motivation that depends on other people will never give us what we need to continue, because even if we do get others' approval, it will never feel nearly as good as our own quality of life. Wanting to lose weight because you want to look good in a bikini is totally different from wanting to lose weight because you want to feel a certain way in your body when you wake up in the morning. And wanting a certain career path because it's what you love to do is totally different from wanting a career path because your parents would approve of it or because your friends would be impressed by it. If you can't find a reason for the change that is tied to your own well-being and your own mental health, you probably shouldn't be doing it. At the end of the day, you have to go to bed in your body with your choices and your lifestyle. The only motivator that should really matter is what makes that person happier and more balanced. And lastly, you should always remember that making personal improvements should be a group effort. You should share in what you're doing with your friends and your loved ones, not only so that you can stay more motivated, but also so that it doesn't feel secretive or weird. A lot of the time when we fail, it's because we feel like we can't talk about what we're trying to do. And the more isolated we are, the harder it is to stay accountable and stay on track. For example, if you're trying to reduce your spending one month, it's going to be nearly impossible to do it if you don't let your friends know what your new budget is. You have to give people not only the opportunity to help you, but also to give you emotional support. And beyond that, letting other people know what you're doing takes the whole project out of your own mind, which is where you tend to be the most hostile, self-deprecating, and critical. It's so easy to beat ourselves up about the littlest thing when it's totally secret, and everything seems way blown out of proportion when you're the only one thinking about it. Having TFD as sort of a built-in support system for the things that we've been doing has made it all the easier to make every positive improvement we've needed to on a personal level. I've talked with TFD about everything from changing my wardrobe, to my body, to my tax bracket, and you know what? It feels really good. I'm someone who's made a ton of personal changes in the last 6 years. Some of them have gone really smoothly, and others have been a bit of a fail. But I've learned overall that the more positive and open you are about these changes, the easier it will be to have control over your habits. And besides, at the end of the day, you're probably doing a lot better than you think you are. As always, thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and to come back every Tuesday for new and awesome videos. Bye!